Welcome to the Coffee Kids and Crazy podcast, a show about creating heart-to-heart connection with your kids. Your podcast hosts, Brittney, Serpell, and Seth Dahl, are here to answer your biggest parenting questions so that you can become a powerful parent. So get ready for breakthrough as I welcome your hosts, Brittney and Seth.
Welcome back to Coffee Kids and Crazy. Brittney and I are in pajamas
We are in pajamas.
because we're having a party.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas time.
Which means we get to be comfy cozy.
I know, it's snugly warm
And it's been cold.
in the studio,
Yes.
so now we're not cold.
Nope.
Also, we are having a meme party,
Yeah.
a legit meme party because we have so many left over. We've done one per episode. Now we're going to do a bunch.
Now we're just gonna unload it.
I'm going to pick this baby up. I need to hold
We
it.
need to hold it. All
You
right.
want to do the first one?
I'm gonna go with the first one.
You go with the first
that
one.
I like.
Okay.
And it is a woman that looks like she's looking underneath a table, kind of got a flashlight, and she's lifting up the curtain or the tablecloth or something like it. And it says, "Searching for my son's chocolate that I ate last night." She's not gonna find it.
No,
She's
because
not
she
gonna find
ate
it
it.
underneath the table.
She's making it look like she's
Uh-huh.
looking for it. My wife has done that. Lauren does that to the kids. I'm going to help you find the chocolate I ate.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
Halloween and stuff, she's like, oh, I'll help you look for the chocolate I threw away.
Yeah. Well, you know. All right. What meme do you have for me?
All right, I have, when you're trying, speaking of pajamas, when you're trying to get your toddler's legs into a one-piece pajama. And is that a Star Wars girl?
No, that's
Who's that?
I think it's Game of
Thrones.
Is that a video? No, it's
I
not.
don't know.
a
I've
video.
never watched Game of
I
Thrones.
haven't either. So
It's a lady
it's the lady.
in a TV show.
Yeah.
Giving a look like she's not happy.
Irritated.
Yeah, so, and she says, bend the knee.
Bend the knee. Just
Bend the knee, you toddler.
Exactly. They always go.
Hmm.
They can't.
By the way, we're not just going to do a meme party. We're going to do
No,
Q&A
yes.
as well. You want to do
Q&A.
one more, and then I'll throw a question out there?
Sure. This is a picture of, it looks like 3 cats, a dog, and a toddler all staring at a door. And it says,
Mm-hmm.
"My wife wanted 5 minutes alone. This was outside of her door. Everyone waiting patiently for
All
her
kinds
to
of animals.
reemerge and help the world again."
That's the reality.
I know.
It is
Oh,
real.
it is
Mom
real.
never gets a break.
Yep.
Okay, first question, because we have lots of questions from you guys all the time. And so we put a few more together
Mhm.
throughout this season. We've done a few episodes, a couple episodes just answering questions. So here's
Yep.
another one. How do you navigate marriage for new parents? Probably like, how do we stay married when we're new parents? How do we protect our marriage?
Yep.
How do we have date night now that we have this tiny baby here? How do we
That is real.
take care of each other while we're trying to take care of this new little human?
Hmm. That reminds me of when we had Adeline. You and Lauren were married how long?
Just a few months, I think.
Yeah, not very long. Well, I think you were pregnant or you're about
Oh,
to.
okay, so then we were married a year.
Yeah,
A little over a
Because
year,
Brooklyn
probably.
and Addie are about a year apart.
That's true.
But we had
Yes,
this,
we were practicing. We were
Yeah.
preparing. Lauren was pregnant. We're preparing. So we've been married a little over a year.
Yeah. So Ben had organized this big, huge date. And it was just the first night out from having Addie. And she was about 3 months old, somewhere in there.
I still have the picture. I sent
know,
it to you recently.
I know.
I
And
snuggled that girl so good.
Seth and
Oh,
Lauren are stepping in and practicing exactly what this question is. It's how do you be married and parents of newborns? I think I would say adjust your expectation is one of the first things as far as what your life was before
Yep.
and what your life is now.
Yeah.
Trips to Africa on the weekend probably won't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And or Chattanooga or
Mhm.
wherever we said before.
Cucamonga
Cucamonga,
is
yeah.
what you said.
Rancho Cucamonga.
Uh-huh.
My grandma lived there. But I think the expectation of by the, just by the fly, by the, seat of your pants, just whatever your quick, we can just adjust. That doesn't exist anymore. You've got
Yeah.
feeding schedules, nap schedules.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the expectation of our life will be somewhat the same. It has to, you have to be willing to
Maybe in
grow
20
with it.
years.
Yeah, maybe in 20
Go
years.
back to that.
You go back to that. I would make sure you're, asking for help. That's a big thing. Community, family.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, I'd be praying for that while you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe God will bring some fruit before baby comes.
Yep.
But date nights are probably going to be at home.
Yeah.
Rather
That's what I
than-
was just gonna say. Adjust expectations in that where it's like, hey, maybe we're watching a show together on the
Mhm.
couch holding hands because the baby's, or maybe we're gonna have a date night while baby's having dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's feeding baby and I'm sitting there and we're watching our show or talking or
Yeah.
connecting or we used to do family walks, so we'd bundle the babies up.
Mm.
Well, especially when Brooklyn was born, we bundle her up, stick her in the stroller, and just walk down the street and talk and catch up. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, we're gonna have a date night with our baby.
Yeah.
She's gonna fall asleep.
And if you can plan it around when they are going to nap, getting them used to sleeping in the stroller or the car seat or loud noises, those help so that you can still go out maybe to get coffee.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier to do your date night instead of at night. It's morning time.
Yeah.
Baby's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit more energy to spend. So I think I would just be willing to adjust because there's a lot of adjusting.
Yeah.
And that helps.
Adjust. The only constant is change.
That is for sure.
So speaking of adjusting,
Mm-hmm.
here's my next meme. The
Okay.
first picture is Mary Poppins with the two kids having some ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, what I thought parenting would look like. Just like Mary Poppins,
Mhm.
spoonful of sugar helps the
Yes,
medicine go
always.
down.
Uh-huh.
And then the bottom picture is what it's actually like. So what I thought parenting would look like versus what it's actually like. And it's the guy from Jurassic Park fighting off the velociraptors. There's 3 of them coming at him. He's got his
He's-
arms out.
He's got his hands.
He's trying to
Uh-huh.
navigate 3 velociraptors, not 2 children with their ice cream cones, gently licking them and enjoying them.
It's kind of that does feel. You think about your family photos and how easy it's going to be or how cute they're going to turn out, but to get to that moment, it took all of your patience and self-control,
And those smiles
and
are probably
so-
fake.
many bribes of what we're going to have afterwards.
Yes, the bribes. There's one of our memes has that. I'm trying to see if I can find it. It's the picture of, it's like the family pictures, what they're supposed to look like versus what they.
What
Really.
they are. All right, we're going to do another question.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. What do you say when your child says they don't want to go to church at 3 years old? Like they want probably not go to like kids' church or something like that. It's not maybe main church, but
Yeah.
they don't want to go to kids' church.
They don't want to go. I just say this is what we're doing. We're going to church. This is going to be really fun for you.
Mm-hmm.
I also tell them, I show them, because as a children's pastor too, we had a lot of kids that didn't want to go to church sometimes. So I would always help step in, kind of like the taekwondo instructor stepped in to help you when Lincoln didn't want to go to taekwondo. I've stepped in on behalf of the parent a few times, but also as a parent, I've said, hey, see this number here on this tag? I have this number. They can call me. I want you to try it. I want you to go in. We're
Yeah.
going to do this. I want you to go in there. I want you to try it. I think you're going to have fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. Last time you came out, I try to go back into every time you've come out, you're typically really
You're
happy. You
had
love it.
fun. Yeah.
Remember how last time? So trying to navigate through that a little bit, but also like, hey, you see this number? If you're not doing good and you don't really want to be here, you can call me. So I take the pressure off, kind of like I did with August getting in the car at 5 a.m. when he's not doing good. Like, hey, I can come get you.
At any
You
point,
don't
yeah.
have to stay in the whole time, but I do want you to try it. We do the same with vegetables. I want you to try them.
Yeah.
You don't have to eat them all, but I want you to try them at least. You're going to take some bites. So, but it takes the pressure off to know, oh, I can get dad or mom anytime. If I'm not doing good, I can have them. It takes that pressure off of you're not going to be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you could be back in 10 minutes. So I've done that. And also as a pastor, I've done that to go, hey, buddy, see this? I want you to come in with me. Let's try this. Let's go. We're going to play. We're going to have fun. We're going to sing. And if you really need your mom, I'll call her. She'll come get you.
Yeah.
So I've played both sides before in
Mhm.
that, but that's kind of how I handle it.
Yeah, I know my kids struggled with kids' church after we left Bethel, and I think they were just really comfortable with being there for so many years. And
they
you were
liked my
Delaney.
church.
Delaney was all about you. Addie
She
and
missed
Lincoln
Pastor Seth.
had
Yep.
Amy. But coming down here, and it was just a new. There's so many avenues of new that we were navigating
Everything's new.
on top of kids' church.
Well, and
So-
you went to kids' church in a gym,
In a gym,
not in a building that was designed for kids' church.
and and sometimes we'd be in a different room so that it would adjust sometimes into a library. So there was a lot of changes with that. And I would say you don't have to go to church, your church, but you have to come to my church. And if you're no fun, then we're going to go to your church.
Oh, so you take the other approach.
I will say there are many times I ended up back into church.
Yes.
And there's other times where there was hassle time because we would just say, you don't have to go this week, but next week we're going to go. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to go this week or next week?
Yeah.
Mostly because we knew of all the new that was happening.
Yeah.
We had to take a different approach because
Take
of
a little bit slower in that.
yeah. And so it was either this week or next week you had to try. And often it was next week that they would choose. And so we get to that week and be like, okay, this week is in kids' church, and there'd be some upset child and just frustrated. And I know, but they can call me if you can't do it. It's
Yep.
okay. So I just need you to try. Hugs, kisses. And then there's other times where it was supposed to be the time that they go and they don't. And this was later on, so there was more push that was required for us to get past this comfortable state.
Yours were older.
Yeah, and
couple
so
of 'em
that's
were
when we
older.
would say, I'm going to go to church, but the last couple times you've been with me, it's been no fun for me. So if you choose to not go to kids' church, you're going to have hassle time. And I think Adeline's the one that did that one, and she ended up with like 2 hours of hassle time because church is long.
Wow. That's a lot of hassle time.
And because I told her, if you come with me to church, it's hassle time.
Yeah.
And
The whole time.
mhm.
Okay.
Because
Yep.
I am managing and distracted by this little human
Mhm.
rather than being able to fully be engaged in church. And she only did that once. The hassle time for her, she had to do laundry for the whole house.
Oh, okay.
So she didn't have to fold everything, but she had to keep it going. It was great. I think I was okay with her hassling me there in that one. But
I've also in those when it comes to going into adult church for a kid too, I've been really clear to go, hey, we don't play games.
mhm,
You can't run around.
it's quiet.
You have to sit
yeah.
down, and you're not gonna get my phone
Yeah.
or a device.
Yeah.
And you have to sit there and listen to who's talking.
Yeah.
And you, so making sure, because I would tell kids, like, as a pastor from the other end, I would say, they're going to be boring downstairs. It's not going to
Yeah,
be fun. You
don't
can
do
go
it.
down to your parents. It's not going to be fun. Like here, we got
Mhm.
games. Just trying to help the parents too from that side. Maybe
Yeah.
pull in your pastor as well.
Mhm.
Can you help me? Can you
Yeah.
help bring them in if
It's true.
if you can?
If you can. All right, well, we're going to jump back to another meme
Yeah,
now.
meme time.
Okay, so my meme, if you've ever seen the movie Dumb and Dumber,
That's the one I had pulled up.
oh, well,
You
I
got it.
I
You
got
got it.
to it first, is this scene where he's talking to this main woman in the movie.
I need to watch this movie
I know,
again.
we need to
so
watch it.
good.
But it says, my kids, when I've told them no 50 times. And at the bottom it says, so you're saying there's a chance.
Mhm.
And that is what it feels like when I say, no, you can't have any ice cream until after dinner.
So you're
So I don't
saying
have to eat this? No, you don't have to. No, but you don't get dessert.
if you don't.
So I don't have to eat this, but I can get dessert. No. How
That
many
is
times
not what I
do
said.
I have to explain this? Can I climb on the roof? No. Can I climb on the roof when Dad gets home? No. They find a interesting.
If I'm really careful, can I climb on?
There's a million ways. They're really.
My kids
trying.
always want to climb on the roof.
Yeah.
It's because I took them up there a couple times and now they are hooked. All right, I
Mhm.
have one. This is working moms who are trying to homeschool kids and work
Okay.
from home. Day 1, Mary Poppins with a little bird on her finger. Cheep, cheep. Day 5, 4 days later,
It's not even a
Mom,
full
her
week.
hair's everywhere, and she has 2 bottles of alcohol, one in each hand.
I think that's
She-
Miss Hannigan from like.
I think so.
Is that Oh, what is Carol Burnett? Is that who it is?
I think so.
I think it's Carol Burnett. Oh, that's funny. She looks a little rough.
Very rough.
She looks a little.
She's on day 5 homeschool while she's trying to work. Not easy.
No, it's difficult.
All right, I got a question.
Okay.
My son constantly pushes to get another answer or choose something I didn't offer.
Well, that's because your kid's a genius.
Yeah.
That's what all children that are
They're
geniuses
going to
are.
present
just,
another option to you when you give them 2.
I don't like how you phrase that. Let me give you a better suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just the nature of children is to test what boundaries are real, which is kind of like Jurassic Park. You know, the raptors are going testing the different areas of the fence to see if it's still on.
Yep.
They're just smart.
They're smart.
Little kids. I mean, always when I'm doing Q&A, people ask, what if they don't choose what I picked or I gave them, you know, the 2 choices? And I go back to still 2 choices. Either choice makes you deliriously happy, and you got to stick to those 2 choices. Because when you offer or take the 3rd suggestion, you immediately devalue what you just said was the boundary. So then they go, oh, your boundaries aren't real.
And I can push them.
And it may seem as simple as, do you want the red cup or the blue cup? And they go, orange. I want the orange cup. And you go, fine. Well, when we get to, you know, do you want to brush your teeth now or later or in 5 minutes? They go, I don't want to brush my teeth ever. And then you're fighting them on a bigger battle instead of a red or blue cup.
Yep. Wow.
And so paying attention to the value of staying within whatever your boundary is, which the boundaries at the moment are these 2 choices. That's why you should be happy with them.
How would you say that to them? So kids like orange cup, orange. What do you say?
Oh, well, we can do the orange cup another time, but right now it's red or blue.
Nice.
And they go, no, I don't. Okay, well, let me know when you're ready to drink your milk, and I'll pour it in one of the. Yeah,
I can
that's another one.
choose. It's okay. I can pick a cup for you.
Yeah, you
if you
decide or
want.
I decide.
Yep.
And sometimes when it's not worth the extra fight, or maybe if I'm going on to another child that needs something, I'll say, okay, you decide or I decide. Okay, it's a red cup, blue lid, best of both worlds. Here you go. And they go, no. I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. I set it back up. Whenever you're ready, there's your milk.
Yep.
But if I don't have somewhere else I have to attend to, I just say, well, let me know when you're ready to pick. I'll be over here, and I go away because I'm not the one that needs something to drink.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm not worrying about their problem, which is often what we get into.
Yes.
When there's choices, is that there's a problem now that there's a power struggle, and now I'm consumed with your problem. Well, I didn't
my problem
have
now,
a problem.
Yeah.
I gave you 2 great
It's not my
options.
milk. It's not my cup. It's not my yeah.
Exactly. But now we made it. It became a power struggle, and I took the bait, and I'm worried about a problem that shouldn't be really something I'm worried about, and I'm engaged in this power struggle, debating over an orange cup or brushing your teeth or being out past your curfew, or I mean, it just gets bigger and bigger the more they don't believe your choices.
Yeah.
So
the other part of that, I think potentially my son constantly pushing to get another answer. So in our home, our kids sometimes have tried, if mom says no, they come to me to ask the same thing to see if I'll say yes.
Sneaky.
Or if I say no, they go to mom. So we've been really quite strict on that too. And I've explained to them like, hey, if mom says no, it's a no. And what you're doing is almost trying to separate us from each other or get us against each other because I don't know what's happening. So one thing I do in that is first I'm very clear to go, this is not how we do this in our family. You're not trying to trick. If mom said no, it's a no. Don't come over here and try to get a yes because that's tricky. Another word is manipulation. But with the little kids, I'd say you're trying to trick to get the answer you want. And we don't do that. Me and mom are on the same team. But also if they come ask me, I'll say, did you ask mom already?
Yeah.
So that way I'm testing the water to go, have you asked or am I the first one or the second one? Because if I'm the first one, I can say no, but I can also maybe give Lauren a heads up if they try to sneak over there or, hey, it's a no and that's it. If you ask mom, it's still a no.
Yeah. What about when you say no, they go and ask mom, and mom doesn't know, and she says yes, and then you see the child with it.
Yeah, we've had that a few times.
Yeah, what do you do there?
I've brought them in. I've said, "Hey, come here, let's talk." Said, "Mom, I had said no. You said yes." And then just talk to the kid like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Mom said yes. Maybe it depends. Like there's been times I've let them have it. Like, all right, if mom thinks you can, you know what? I'm okay with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I hear why she said yes, okay. But most of the time it's like I told him no and mom will go, "Oh, if dad said no,
That's
it's a
bummer.
no."
Yeah.
So I've gone in and communicated to her, "Hey, here's what I had already told them.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's happening." If she's got a really good reason why she said yes to it, maybe I'll yield.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, it's dad said no.
Yeah.
Mom didn't know that. It's
Yeah.
a no.
That's pretty much.
That's more painful for them,
It is, and
it's
that's
good though.
Lincoln does it the most usually later at night when he wants something to eat. He's looking for another sweet something, and we're done with that. So I usually say, "Well, you're welcome to have a piece of fruit
Yep,
or
we do
some
that too.
vegetables." Mostly because I think you're not really hungry, you're just bored, and if
Mhm.
you're really hungry, you'll eat that. And then he comes up with Cheez-Its. I'm like, that does not look like a fruit or a vegetable
No.
unless they have changed and morphed.
It's got wheat.
Yes,
It's
that's
grain.
grain. And I'll look at him and he goes, "Dad said." I'm like, what did I say? You said no. So how do you think that makes me feel?
Nice.
And he's like, he shrugs his shoulders. And I'm like, well, do you think it feels good or not good?
Not good.
Not good. Well, what do you think you should do? He said, put it back. I said, yeah. So he'll put it back, and he'll come back up, and he has that sulky little sad face. And usually on his own, he's apologized. And I say, yeah, it feels really yucky when you try and just get what you want.
Yep.
And don't trust that I'm telling you no for a reason.
Yep. Have your best in mind.
So those have been our exchanges around stuff like that. And it helps. I mean, he's older. Probably was between 7 and 9, but little things, being able to give feedback to how do you think this makes me feel,
Yes.
helps them.
That's a good question.
Be a little bit more aware of things. So, all right, are we going back to our meme?
Let's go back to a meme.
Okay.
I got one.
Mm-hmm.
This is when my kid threatens to not talk to me for the rest of the day. And it's a guy, I forget what movie it is, sipping his drink with a great big smile on his face because the kid has threatened to not talk for the rest of the day. He's just enjoying it. And then the next picture is Justin Timberlake, like, me when my kid trips over the toy I asked him to pick up 100 times. It's kind of like, well, I kind of told you so.
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah.
But I did tell you.
And if you haven't seen these memes, just go on our Instagrams,
Yep, we're going to have them all
Facebook. You'll see them all there.
Yeah. Another one is also about talking to me. And it is a pie chart.
Yep.
And it's
this one's good.
Little slivers of different things. And most of them are fairly equal, taking up majority of the time. It says, times my children want to talk to me. The first one says 4:30 in the morning on Sunday. It's a pretty big portion of the pie. The next one is when I'm in the shower. That's an even larger portion.
Yep.
Another large section is when I'm on the toilet.
Yep. There they come.
A smaller section, but still pretty large, when it's bedtime. I feel like that's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Another decent sized portion of this is when I'm on the phone. So those are filling a majority of the pie.
Yeah, the kids want to talk to you when it's very, very inconvenient for you. The more inconvenient it is, the more they want to talk.
And the smallest little sliver, when they want to talk to me, is, I mean, it's like a 30-second maybe of this. When I say, tell me about your day.
There it is.
That's not when my child
That's not when they're ready
wants
to talk.
to me. I feel like this is very common at the end of the school day, but for my kids, I think it was more they were tired and hungry. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get them to engage with me, and they're like, "I give me a second."
Yeah, my kids though, when they're tired and it's bedtime, that's when they really want to have a conversation because they're trying not to go to bed. I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep.
Yep,
I miss you, Dad.
we already
I don't want to
sang.
miss a thing.
Yeah, that's it.
That was a meme from another episode, or it will
Oh,
be.
Yep, it's gonna be good. All right, we have probably time for one more question.
Yep. I got
Let's-
one.
okay.
You got one?
Go for it.
How are you teaching your kids to hear God when they read their Bibles, as they read their Bibles?
hmm
I love this one.
Well, you have a bunch of resources for this,
Yep, I do.
and you really have been working hard on
That element, hearing God,
activating this in your
reading
home.
the Bible.
I would say I didn't design or create things. The resources I just bought your superheroes that
The
you
Bible
have.
heroes.
For a friend of mine for their daughter for birthday gift because she's
Come on.
3, I think 3.5, something like that. But you should tell us about what you're
Yep.
doing because it's great.
So
Great
this,
option.
yeah. So this is how are you teaching your kids to hear God as they read their Bibles? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to help your kids hear God, but in the Bible specifically, it depends. So if I'm reading a certain story, we can put ourselves in that story and imagine slowly, gently, but imagine ourselves in that place of the story. If it's like a promise, you could drop your name in there.
Mm.
So as you're reading the promise, like I pray that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of glory, would give Seth the spirit of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of God. So Seth has the eyes of his heart enlightened. So putting their names in certain promises and certain scriptures you can
Different
do.
ownership for them.
Because then it's like, oh, you're talking to me. I'm hearing you read or speak something over my life. Another thing to do is just ask them, like, all right, so if you were that guy, what are you feeling here? What's going on in you? When Jesus said, stretch out your arm, what are you thinking? I feel afraid. I feel scared. Why? Because my arm, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, what happens when you stretch it out and it grows and your arm is back to normal? Like, what are you feeling? I feel excited. I feel, like, yeah, you lived your whole life. So I try to give details that aren't necessarily in the Bible, but like this guy grew up with a shrunken arm.
Right.
How would that
Unpacking
feel?
what that means and what that
Yeah,
would
how would that
physically
feel
look
if your
like.
arm was only like this big and you're, how do you feel? What have you navigated? What do you feel when you stretch it out and it grows? Are you so helping them look at the stories really deeply, I think can be helpful. But then also like asking like, what do you think God is saying to us from this? That man got healed in front of everyone. He got healed. What do you think God's saying to us if we're sick? You think he wants to heal us? And it may depend on the age of your kids as well. Like little kids, you have to help a little more. Like, do you think that means he'll heal us too when we're sick? Do you think that means he cares about our pains? Does he care about our embarrassments? Does he care about the hard stuff we've had to work through? What do you think that means for us based on what you've seen he did with that guy? So those are some quick examples.
My favorite is when we reenacted David and Goliath with our kids. And Lincoln fell in love with the story after we did that because he got to be David, obviously. And it was it brought to life this hero.
Yeah.
And so it was one of his favorite stories to read in the kids' Bible for a long time. I found different Bibles for my kids in different stages.
Yeah.
Not just by like the beginner picture Bible that I feel like everybody had at some point is great.
Yeah.
But then they grow.
Yeah.
And they need something
They
a little
need
bit
more
different.
details
They need a
and-
little bit
yeah.
more. And like Lincoln has a Lego Bible right now because he loves Legos. And it's big and probably only has 10 stories in it. But it's great stories that are in there. And they're all
And
Lego
they've
people.
they've scripted it all out or they've put the scenes in there with Legos.
And then they have a scavenger hunt to find different things that you at the end of each story
sweet.
you go back and try and find it. And then Adeline had a kind of princess Declaration Bible for a season, and now she's got something a little bit different, a little bit more mature, a little bit more teen-like, that's explaining different things. It's bringing in just talking about, Noah and the ark and different animals, and then it gives random facts about animals
Yep.
and different things like that. And then Delaney has a Bible that you can color in. So
Nice.
we've given them different ways to interact that
Yep.
aren't just read this story,
Yes.
because we're trying to keep their value and love to grow with them in the different stages that they're in. And
Yep.
I think that's a really great way to.
I'm probably going to do this with my kids soon, but you reenacted one of the stories, David and Goliath. When I was a children's pastor, we had iPads like this,
Mhm.
and we had 4 for each age group. And so I gave these kids, when the other kids were in class, I gave them all iPad, and I said, hey, I want you to read this story.
Mhm.
You guys figure out who's playing what part. You figure out who's filming it. I put them fully in charge, and I gave it to the kids who were the most misbehaving kids.
Mhm.
And I gave them all these iPads, and I left them in my office, and I took off, and I came back, and I'm listening in, and I can hear them practicing their lines. Like they'd figured out who was going to be David, or who was going to be Jesus, who's going to be Lazarus, who's going to be
Yeah.
dead that comes back to life. And they're practicing and rehearsing how to play dead and how to come back to life. And they're really, really when they have to act it out,
Mhm.
they get into it so much, they literally become the story. And that's really fun. But now that my kids are a bit older, I may do that where I'm like,
Yeah.
let's make a video, and you're in charge, not me.
Yeah.
Here's my phone. Let's film. Here's your story.
Mhm.
Who's playing what was going on in them. How can you reenact it as accurate as possible?
Yeah. My kids, for Bible for school, I've had them watching Adventures in Odyssey,
Yep.
and we've been talking through them afterwards, and it's a great option just to change it up. And
Yep.
VeggieTales, that we always laugh at how well we remember all the songs from VeggieTales somehow. But another great resource that I found recently is called the Faith and Family Box.
Yep.
And we get it every month, and it's different every month. And the nice thing is I've got 9, 12, and 16, and it comes with snacks. It comes with a kind of guide on how to do this, from an activity of a
Yeah.
game to how the snack plays
Works
into
in,
the
yep.
theme. Different questions that just are asking each other different things, spending time together, and then really it's usually one scripture, and then everything's based off of that. But it's really fun because the kids love it.
Yeah, my kids do too.
They're so engaged in it. Lincoln is so excited when it arrives, and he's actively hunting us down of when we could do it. And we make adjustments to it just because our kids are older,
Yeah.
to keep everyone engaged. But I think the best part is just watching them have curiosity about, and the creativity
Yes.
in discovering the Bible and different scriptures like that. And so I
I
think
love
overall,
it.
I would just say don't stay limited
Yeah.
to opening the Bible and reading a scripture.
Yeah.
Get creative.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like you're creative, Seth's got some stuff. Faith and
Yeah.
Family Box is great.
Yeah. There's other stuff out there like that as well.
Yeah, and I'd be leaning into that to help ignite that passion
You
and
know,
value.
I watch the Bible Project some
Mhm.
with our kids for homeschool. Like we'll literally put it on and go through the story of Leviticus, and so like, but it's for adults.
Yeah.
But the content is so good, and then we have conversations.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the Bible Project too.
We watched The Passion with Delaney. We didn't watch it with the
Yeah.
younger ones, but and I mean it's all in Hebrew. That's it has subtitles, so you
Yeah.
have to be paying attention. But the emotion
Yes,
and of everything
the-
that's happening,
to see it.
hmm it was really fun to experience that with her, and just to walk away with this experience and a different, more of a visual take on that story that she knows so well.
Yeah.
So again, just get creative
Yeah.
and don't limit God for your kids.
Yeah.
That's a big takeaway, I think.
That's it.
All right, should we do one last meme before we leave?
Yes. Do you have one?
Go for it.
Okay. This one says, "Lord, give me a sign."
Mm-hmm.
and then it says the sign with the picture. And at the end of the road, the arrow, it says turn, and the arrow goes both directions. So
that's clear.
right or left. And then right underneath it, it says, it used to say right turn, and then they painted left. So it literally says left, right turn with with two arrows going both directions.
Hopefully it's not a one-way road.
Yeah, exactly. So like
That's how it feels like sometimes.
it
though,
is,
in
but
parenting.
it is a one-way road. There's
Oh,
three
it is.
signs that say. Actually, there's two signs that say left and one sign that looks like it says no left turn. So it's kind of like, Lord, give me a sign. And the sign is either direction,
Here you go.
one-way
I'll
road,
make it work.
don't turn. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess it's all about trusting the Lord with our children.
Yes,
So we'll end on that note.
we will.
It's your turn to trust the Lord on how to do this well and
Mm-hmm.
engage with Him and activate the Holy Spirit in your parenting, all those
Yep.
things. And have a good Christmas.
Have a great Christmas in your pajamas.
Uh-huh.
We
Have
love
fun.
you guys.
Have fun this holiday season with your
Yeah.
family. And
We'll see you soon.
yeah.
Thanks for listening. Never miss an episode of the Coffee Kids and Crazy podcast by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch it on the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel. That's it for this episode. We'll see you next time.